Hi, welcome to our first episode of Teach the Podcast. I'm Avery.
And I'm Hannah.
Today we're going to be talking about relationship, right?
Hang on. My bad. God damn it. Bear with me.
Routine, structure, and access.
Yep.
Today we're going to be talking about routine, structure, and access.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first, we're kind of just going to give some backstory and kind of talk about why we want to be teachers and also just grade level of like what we want to teach. So you can start first. How about that?
Okay, well, I'm majoring in elementary ed, so I'm trying to teach somewhere between 3rd and 5th grade level, upper elementary. Also minoring in math, so.
I can never do that. Love you, but I can never do that.
Yeah.
I am also majoring in elementary education, but I have an endorsement in early childhood, so I'm thinking like preschool through 3rd grade. I'm not a big upper elementary gal like you are.
I can't do the littles.
I'm the complete opposite. I could do the littles, I can't do the big kids. And that's okay. But yeah, why do you want to be a teacher?
Well, I grew up, a lot of women in my family were teachers, specifically my mom. I grew up loving reading and writing, always being in the classroom, always just being around kids and that kind of stuff. I grew up being the neighborhood babysitter, and I've always just known I wanted to work with kids and be that, like, role model for kids one day.
Yeah.
So, I guess, yeah, ever since I was little, wanted to teach. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of have the same story. I grew up as my grandma, like, basically raised me. Like, she was a tutor. She also did Head Start, so she would go into the classrooms at the SPS district, and she would take me with her, and I would help out with the kindergartners, and that was super fun. And I got my first job at 16 at the YMCA as a kid zone, like, counselor. Like, I would play in the play place area, and I was like, it's just a job, I'm not gonna like it, but I ended up really liking it.
That sounds like such a fun job.
Yes, it is. Like, I used to go down, like, the slides and stuff on the play
You get paid
structure.
for that?
Yes, I got paid, like, $20 an hour. But, yeah, so that kind of stemmed from just when I was younger, kind of watching my grandma do that stuff. I was like, I want to be like that when I'm older.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just kind of our backstories. So now we're kind of going to jump into some routines and structures that we want in our classrooms. I have two. One of them, my first one, is implementing the hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think that is very important because looking back onto my personal early childhood, like, kind of getting into middle school days, like, I did not have the best education, just because I wasn't having those basic needs met, and, like, I remember I would come into school hungry, or I didn't sleep very well, and, like, you know, just those basic needs, and also just having those relationships that I didn't feel, you know, like, I felt very disconnected from my teachers and peers, so I think that was kind of a big, like, reason as to why my education wasn't as good as it could have been, just because I did not feel as connected as I could have been in the classroom. And the teachers that I do remember were the ones who were very vulnerable with their students and would connect with their students and give basic needs, like the ones that had snacks or ones that had a couch to sit on and just relax and decompress. And it's honestly sad to say, like, I wish more teachers had those basic needs met, or just access to those basic needs, because I feel like that's not a big thing that we have in a lot of public school systems. And also, kids are coming in a lot of the time with those survival brain states. Like, am I safe? Am I going to be able to learn? Because they are like, who is this adult? Like, why am I listening to you if I don't even, like, know who you are? B, I'm tired and I'm hungry, and, like, learning is the last thing that I want to do. So also keeping in mind that kids are coming in from all different kinds of brain states, and having to implement things to help them in that way is very important. I also think connecting to disrupting poverty and talking about framework for success, they talk a lot about building that community and building those relationships. Those kinds of things are very important. I actually had an experience like this the other week in my preschool. I work at the Early Learning Center in Ellensburg District, and it is an ECAP preschool, meaning it's a lot of kids who are low poverty. They are coming from ELL families, and a lot of those kids do not have their basic needs met. So I actually sat with one of my students who is 4 years old. He's literally an angel. At what time would have been recess time, but we were having snack and transitioning into recess, and he was very adamant about, no, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to eat my snack. And I said, you know what, that is okay. Like, I kept saying to him, I was like, I want your stomach to be full, and I want your body to feel okay before you go out and play. Again, just reinforcing those basic needs, because that is really important. And also, kind of tying in those cell standards as well, which Avery's going to talk about later, because that's something that she has on her list as well. Also, just modeling to the kids that, like, it's okay to be frustrated sometimes. It's okay to be stressed sometimes. It's okay to be emotional, as long as you're obviously not taking it out on them. But even just during, for example, during circle time, if you're like, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now, like, let's all take a deep breath. Let's reset. Let's do some yoga. Let's do some rainbow breathing, like whatever it takes to reset and be vulnerable with them in that way, for them to feel more connected to you, while also regulating. I think that's really important. So kind of just all of those things tied together, with building community and with building, that classroom connection with all of your students, so they all feel safe, and also accommodating for brain states and basic needs. I think all of those things are very important, and that feels like something that should already be accommodated for. Like, I feel like I shouldn't even have to be saying this kind of stuff, but getting those basic needs met, so kids feel like they can really trust you and they can really learn, and they feel genuinely engaged with what you are saying. I feel like those things are pretty important. So those are my 2 routines that I want to implement. Now we're going to talk about Avery's routines that she wants to implement.
Yeah, so like Hannah said, I'm going to be talking about cell standards, which I believe all the cell standards are important. And in this class, when we've been learning about cell, this specific unit has really stood out to me, because in elementary school, we didn't cover cell as often. We didn't learn how to regulate emotionally, how to, learn about ourselves before going into the classroom, So this has been so cool to me, because I'm just thinking, why didn't we learn this? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because a lot of the time in elementary school, we would have kids that would lash out or be, have big emotions, and they'd be punished for it.
Yes, exactly.
Which,
rather than turning it into a learning moment of
yes, like, hey, friend, let's take a second, let's breathe, let's calm down, and, So I think that this entire unit on cell has been so cool to learn, because it's, where was this when I was 8 years old,
Exactly, yes.
But the one that I want to talk about specifically that really stood out to me is the Standard 6 of social engagement, talking about community. And I think community is so important, especially in a classroom setting, like what you're saying. The teachers that go out of their way to make sure that everybody feels included. I know when I was in elementary school, the classrooms that stuck out to me the most, and the ones that I remember being the most comfortable and the happiest in, were the teachers that made sure everybody felt included.
Yes.
And safe. Whether that just be like building a relationship with your students, of just saying like, hey, I see you, I'm here for you, I am a person you can trust, or just, making sure everybody has a place and a job and so. But yeah, I think that standard is super important, of just also the classrooms that had like classroom jobs, and like where everybody worked together to build community, and like work together. Everyone has a role.
Yes,
Thank you. That's
and things to
I was
do.
getting there. But,
yes.
But yes, I think that is super important. The other thing I wanted to talk about was in Disrupting Poverty, Chapter 4, where teachers having expectations for their students that can affect them the rest of their life. Like, we talked about how teachers that had lower standards for specific students than for the rest of their schooling years then go in with that mindset of like, oh, if my teacher doesn't expect this out of me, then I don't have to do it.
Right.
Like, our students will give in what we give to them, basically.
Yes,
That's kind of a weird way to
exactly.
say that, but
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, with personally for me, like teachers that um, would push me more as much as I would be like, I'm so uncomfortable right now. That's where I excelled.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what our students need. You know,
Yes,
like
exactly.
sometimes you need that push to like really be your best.
Yes.
But I know also that the teachers that had lower expectations of me and didn't care if I passed the class or did good on a certain assignment, I didn't care.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
not that I was a bad student, but
Right.
like,
Yeah. I'm passing this class, so it's whatever. Rather than
yeah, exactly.
what did I learn?
Rather than I want to see you succeed and I'm going to
Yes.
help you succeed.
Exactly. Yes.
So I think that that is very important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Great. Well, that is it for our first episode. Next episode, we're going to be talking about relationships, rapport, and climate, which we are super excited for. I love talking about relationships and rapport, as I kind of tied it into this episode too. So yeah, thank you for listening to our first podcast of Teach the Podcast, and we will see you next episode.
Bye.
Bye.